Hey, what's up, my brother? What's up, my sister? This is your boy Oscar Ntege again with yet another amazing tutorial. In this particular tutorial, I'm going to show you how to edit wedding pictures from start to finish. You're going to learn how the whole wedding workflow goes, and you're going to also learn how to color grade wedding pictures, how to do minor adjustments, how to give the bride something ideal that they would love to look at for the next 40-30 years without them getting tired of those particular wedding pictures. Before we dive into this video, hope you, my friend, are keeping yourself safe. It is really a very tough period for humanity, and yes, I'm optimistic we are going to get through it safely and alive. Please follow the doctor's instructions, keep inside. Anyway, in this period, let us learn something and add something into our bank account of knowledge so that we make brides smile. This is a bride I shot but towards the end of 2019. Her name is Claire. This was a very beautiful couple. I really enjoyed shooting this particular wedding. It was a very simple wedding, but yet classy, and I really enjoyed everything. I think I'm blessed to have the most beautiful brides. All the brides I've shot all through my career, I think they're the most beautiful brides in the world. Not because they pay me, but for some reason they are very beautiful. For those of you who don't know me as a wedding photographer, you can go check out my Instagram account. I'll leave the link in the description below and see some of the wedding pictures I used to do back then. Enough of the shit chatting. Let's dive into this now. The first two images, these are images done in the preparation phase. There are very many images we really do in the preparation phase, but I chose this particular shot just to show you how we go through these particular moments. You know, like I told you in the other videos, when I'm doing most of these particular shots of preparations, I try as much as possible to give them a glamour feel, but again leaving in a bit of naturality. Actually, you're torn in between being a beauty photographer and a photojournalist. So let's dive into this. First things first. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to first white balance. How do we do white balance? We just use the white balance tool. That is the first thing. So we choose this first image here because it's going to be our basis upon which we are going. It is the effects from this image that are going to be applied to this particular image here. So you come to the white balance tool. It is the third tool here, and then you just click at a particular spot that is meant to be white, all gray, a neutral color, and then you do that. See how white has turned white? It is just automatic as possible. So the next thing we are going to do what they call a calibration. If you're using old Photoshop whose camera roll is not really up to date, you will find that particular spot here, and you find the picture style of your camera below this. But for those of you who are using the latest version, you come here and change the color profile. By default it comes as Adobe Color, you know, but let's first put it back to default here. Yeah, it comes as Adobe Color, but since I shoot landscape, I'll just put it in landscape picture style, because that is the picture style that I use when I'm shooting most of my weddings. Why? Because it is very colorful and I love my pictures colorful. Now, this is a question of taste. You don't have to do the colors I do, but I'm just giving you a sneak peek of how I go through my particular work process in a way that I hope it will help you to develop your style even further. Now, the next thing we do after calibration is, now when you look at the highlights, they're a bit burnt out, so we're going to put the exposures right. You come and just pull the highlights out, and then also here you come and pull these still down. Now, when it comes to working on the shadow areas, this is where I see most people going overboard, just because you have cameras that have a very high dynamic range. Some of you tend to take this overboard and show every detail in shadows. I, for one, I do not completely like this kind of flattish look that has this HDR look. especially if you're editing people, depending on actually what you're editing. But I prefer having a little bit of this chiaroscuro, kind of that illusion from darkness to brightness, something that gives an image more depth. So I normally just only emphasize the shadows just a little bit. I don't take it overboard to a level that somebody looks flat. So the next thing I do is I get here to the blacks and I still crush them a bit. I don't crush them to a level that I barely see the details, but I crush them to a level that the hair looks really typically melanin, typically black enough or good enough, where the blacks really look that crisp and beautiful. Not crushing the blacks to a level that they lose detail, but to that level where black looks glamorous. So the next thing I do, I love color. So you just have to extend. I extend usually the vibrancy and then the saturation just a little bit up. So the next thing, I come here. When you look at my particular thing, I did not touch the contrast. Now this is where I work on the contrast in this next knob. Here I just come and pump the highlights up just a little bit, right there, like at 26. Really, it depends on your image. I also now boost the lights up, and then I just pump the darks a bit down. Basically, I just make sure I have like just a little bit. It depends really on the kind of image you're editing. I don't want you to cram these digits, but how does it look to you? So the next thing we are going to sharpen this image. Now this is how the sharpening works. You press the Alt key and then move this forward. Now everything that is white is where the sharpening effect is going to be applied, and everywhere that is black, the sharpening effect won't be applied. So you just move this forward like that, so that you see, because in this particular case we only want the edges to be really sharp, and then that is okay. For those of you who want to see a full tutorial of how I use the Camera Raw interface, please just click that link up there and watch the full video of how Camera Raw works. Then you would know the power of Camera Raw. Then you come and regulate the amount of sharpness here like that. You don't have to take it overboard. You bring the radius up and then there. So the next thing we do is we do luminancy. Luminancy, for those of you who know the portraiture plugin that really edits skin, now luminancy is some kind of portraiture like kind of thing. Camera Raw images tend to have that kind of grain, like it has poured onto one image. So this is where you come and reduce that particular grain by taking it up high. The more you take it, the smoother somebody's skin will go. So for those of you who want to do quick portrait edits, luminancy would be some other option, but we can do a full tutorial on that. So I just take it slightly up a little bit, because remember, these are wedding pictures. You don't want to overly retouch them to a level that they don't look natural. So the next thing you do is you come to color. Now the rest I just leave them at default. You come here now next to the color knob and you remove what they call the RGB noise. I don't know whether it's visible on camera, but if you can see that noise, that colored noise, you just come and push that knob up high, and then you have it crystal clear. Let me just bring it back and you see. Hope you can see it on the screen. See that? And then you just pump it up and you remove all that RGB noise. So the next thing we do, these I just leave as is. And now when you look at this image, you see at least we have moved far ahead, than the way we were. Look at the before and after, where we've come from and where we are right now. So the next thing we are going to do now is we want to copy all these particular settings so that they are transferred onto this particular image. So what you do, you just come here and say save as, save. We shall put it on the desktop where we shall find it. So we call it salon preset. Yeah, yes. Then we come select our images or image. This particular case, it's one image where we want this particular effect to be applied, and then you come say load, and you come say you just apply it. So you see the before and after, that is how magical this thing really works. You don't have to go through all this hassle and all that. Now, when you look at this particular image, yeah, it seems to have a bit of blue. So what we do, we just select both of them and then come here and just add in just slightly a little bit of warmth like that. You don't have to take it overboard, but just adding in a little bit of warmth to the image so that it's not overly blue. So the next thing we are going to do is church. Now church, you still follow the same thing. It's basically bringing back, putting the exposure right. Yeah, just like that. I'll just switch this off. Oops, sorry. And then you come, push the highlights down. Oops, yeah, sorry. Yeah, but you just switch that off. Push the highlights down so that you get the details of the gown back. You still do the same thing for the whites, and then you come do our clarity just a little bit. Yeah, a bit of the haze to remove that haze definitely off. Yeah, the white balance, that definitely use the white balance too, but the white balance in my opinion looked amazing. So I feel the skin tones are too warm for my test, so I'll just still pump this a bit. Then you do the same thing over and over again. We put our contrast here, and then you do the lights, and then still the darks, and then you do the sharpening. It's already there at default. Basically you have done everything here the same. So if we want to do the same for reception, still if you're shooting the same location of church, you just copy that particular preset, save it, and then load it to other images just like that. The same thing, you come here to still the same thing. You come and you put down the exposures, bring back the whites, shadows, a bit of vibrancy, the haze, and boom, then you're good to go. So we're going to just open these images in Photoshop. You press Ctrl A to select all, and then you open images. You can either save if you expect electricity to go, but for example, for people who are in Kampala where electricity just goes off randomly, you don't want to risk really just putting these pictures straight up in Photoshop without saving them first. So what you do, you just open up these images. Open. I just want you guys to have the best wedding pictures ever. Let us create moments for our people so that people get to see, because as photographers we are the visual storytellers, we are the people upon which history is written. Our images are the basis. Yeah, this is the evidence of life ever lived. That is the goal of photography in this society. So the better we can make these crafts, the more. I didn't really edit this, so I'll just remove it, and then so I just want to take you through how I would edit. I would edit maybe wedding pictures. Now this is the thing. Now I use a little bit of frequency separation, but I don't take it really overboard. So for those of you who don't know what frequency separation is, you should watch my video. I'll put a link somewhere up there, so you just come and duplicate this twice. I'm going to go fast through this. Then you say filter, blur, Gaussian blur, it is just going to be just a light blur, like right there. Then you say image, you come here and say image, apply, then you say subtract, and then you say that to 1/28, and then you say linear light. So we're going to begin working on this. The full tutorial of frequency separation is right up there. It really explains anything. You can always go watch it, then come back here and see how we do this. So I just come and begin editing. You make sure it's feathered at around 18 depending on what camera you're using and how big the image is. And we just begin blurring this out. You don't have to take it overboard, because remember, it's a wedding. It's not a glamour shoot or a beauty commercial where you have to take it overboard. Control F. I would have to say I'm done, because this is a wedding. These are realistic moments. You don't want to take this overboard. So because you want something that the bride is going to love looking at in the next 40 years. This is something for generations and generations. Generations and generations are going to look at these images and see, their bloodline through these images. So you make sure you do it in such a way that it will be loved. Avoid a lot of trendy kind of edits, because those are short-lived. It's better you keep it a bit slightly simple, but yet again artistic. And then, so the next thing we do is I'm going now to color, rather to whiten the eyes and the teeth. So this is what we do. You come here, hue, you put down saturation, we change the hue to something there, and we brighten this up. Yeah, I'll keep this fast because I have another tutorial that really explains this whole process of whitening eyes and teeth. I'll leave a link up there. Just go watch that. It explains everything in detail. This one is just for weddings. So you just come select this and say Control I, and then let's zoom in, and then you come and right here just paint this over. You make sure it is white that is selected. Same applies to the eyes. Then you go there, change that, and then we paint white all over and remove where the white is not supposed to be. So we can't keep, I see many people keeping these teeth overly white, but I don't advise that, because she ends up looking like a robot. So what you do, you reduce the opacity a bit, because you don't want the teeth are not really typically white. They are a bit creamish, but we're just glamorizing it so that she looks right. Remember, since they are white, there are a lot of reflections that really reflect back into her teeth and whatever places that are white. So it is our duty as retouchers to bring back all these details. So the next thing we're going to do is color this image. You just come here and say selective color. So we are working on skin red. Make sure it's red that is selected, and you say red. You just put back the cyan, a little bit of magenta. I love my pictures a bit vibrant. Then you come here to the neutrals. The neutrals, these are the grays, the whites, all these colors you see. And I want black looking like black and all that stuff. So what I do, I just come and punch back the yellow just a little bit, and the magenta maybe just I bring it a little bit up front, then a bit of more cyan, and then the blacks I just crush it a bit to like a 2, and then good. See that big of a difference. Now let us put these in a group. I just want you guys to see the before and after. Look at the before and look at the after. The before and after. Before, you see, it's not a very big difference, but it is really breathtaking right now. The next thing we're going to do, we're just going to sharpen this image and save it. So what do? You create a screenshot. You press Ctrl Alt Shift and E, and then you come and say linear light. You come here and say filter, other, high pass, and keep it like that. Really, one is good, and then boom, we're good. I have a full tutorial that explains all this and why we do what we do. It is right there. You should go and watch that video about sharpening. So when you look at this, look at that. That's the before and after. Now let us save this image. Guys, this is how you edit wedding pictures. When you look at it, I've not really taken a lot of time editing this. You may say it's a lot of time because I'm being slow, but because I'm teaching you, I didn't want to go fast. But this is how they edit really wedding pictures. When you look at this, definitely tell me a bride who wouldn't really love this. Now guys, I hope this was very helpful. I hope to see you in my next tutorial. You may be wondering why I've not showed you how to edit garden pictures or photo session pictures. That is going to be a very special tutorial just dedicated to editing only and only those pictures, showing you how artistic you can get with your craftsmanship and the like. But for now, I'm really grateful that I have you guys alive watching this. Remember to keep yourself safe, and if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please click this button here and give me that subscription. Give me some comments. I really want this channel to grow. Let us create a community of photographers that are really dedicated to making their craftsmen better and making their businesses better. Join me. Let us be part of this one big community that is going to change the world and the way people perceive photography. I love you. Take care. Keep safe.